Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the grand finale of Salaam Cricket, coming to you here live from the Lord's Cricket Ground, site of many historic triumphs and site of the 1983 World Cup final that India played and won. And of course, now the 2019 World Cup final. Who will win the World Cup? We're joined by the League of Champions, as we are calling them. I want to welcome on the show, from my extreme left, Nasser Hussain, captain of the England team 2003. Misbah-ul-Haq, former captain of Pakistan. Michael Clarke, three-time World Cup winner, including as captain in the previous World Cup from Australia. Next to him, the legend of the game, arguably the greatest one-day cricketer the world has ever seen, Sir Vivian Richards, winner of 2 World Cups, 75 and 79. Wasim Akram, man of the match when Pakistan incredibly won the World Cup in 1992. We have the greatest batsman and the greatest bowler that one-day cricket has ever seen sitting next to each other. And next to them is someone who's been a legend of his times, the greatest opening batsman the world has ever seen, Sunil Gavaskar. So this is, in a sense, truly a League of Champions. Your mics are with you, and I want to start with you, Nasser Hussain, if not for any other reason, but the fact that of all the players here, the one country that still hasn't won a World Cup is England. And I just wonder whether 2019 is England, or as Sunil Gavaskar calls it, the rest of the world team's year. You won the Champions League with Liverpool, you won the Europa League with Chelsea. Is this the year of England at the end of the day? Can you finally say we are world champions? The country that gave the world one-day cricket.
Have you finished?
I have.
Well, thanks for reminding everyone in the whole nation around the world that we've never won anything in cricket, ever. And thanks for sitting me next to everyone that's won everything in the game of cricket.
You won the T20 World Cup.
In fact, I never got out of the group stages of the World Cup, so I have no idea why I'm up here. But I've just been reminded by Misbah that we did win the 2020 World Cup in the Caribbean.
That's right.
I'd retired by then, so nothing to do with me. I don't remember your original question. It was that long ago. But I can tell you that in a few weeks' time here at Lord's, my gut feeling is that this England side will be there. This is the best ever England white ball side. I know it's not, that doesn't say a lot. This is the best ever England white ball side that we've ever had. And not even just by a little bit, by a country mile. And I think people around the world acknowledge that as well. It's not just English bravado. I think people see this side. People around the world don't necessarily think we're going to win it, but they are mighty impressed with this side. And that's all you can ask for. They are, as a nation, we are very proud of them.
You want to also have a quick response to what Mr. Gavaskar's been saying all day, that this is the rest of the world England side led by an Irishman, comprising people who come from different parts of the world other than good old England?
We are a multicultural society.
We just decided to leave Brexit.
You know what?
What about tell Mr. Farage or Fasage or whatever his name is?
Let's not go down that road. You never know. Even one of these days, a young boy born in Chennai might end up captaining England. So you never know what could happen.
Why not? Wonderful. Let me get the Australian to respond, because, you know, an Englishman has come and straight away set the ball rolling by saying he believes that there will be an Englishman, an Irishman, lifting that trophy come next month. Do you, as an Australian, believe that for the first time in World Cup history, England are truly favourites, Michael Clarke?
I do believe they're favourites, yes. I think they are. They've earned the right to be the number one-day team in the world over the past 12 months. Probably a bit longer than that. The way they've played, they've been very consistent. I don't believe they're going to win this World Cup, though. I believe Australia's going to win this World Cup. Well, but they might play England in the final. They might not. I think England will certainly be in the top 4. But I honestly believe the way Australia's playing, the momentum, the confidence they have, having the 2 great Australian batsmen, Steve Smith and David Warner, back in the team, I think Australia's primed for this World Cup.
Why is it? Do you believe the English will bottle it up, is it, in the end? Pressure will get to it, home pressure, which you endured just 4 years ago. And one.
I don't think it'll be pressure. I just think, I probably think if Australia play England in the semi-final, I think they'll beat them there. If Australia play England in the final, I think they'll beat them there. So I don't think it'll be about necessarily the pressure. I just think at the moment, if Australia keep their best 11 fit, I just think they are primed for this World Cup. I see a lot of similarities to 2015.
Okay, that's interesting. Let me turn to the man who scored the greatest ever World Cup knock at this ground, Sir Vivian Isaac Alexander Richards. He scored that innings in 1979, and many believe the West Indians actually, Sir Richards, Sir Viv, are the dark horses of this World Cup. Are we finally seeing the West Indians return to something quite like what they were once upon a time? Not quite your team, but finally we are seeing a West Indian side that actually has a fighting chance.
What I love about this West Indies team that I would have seen against Pakistan is that they're physically blessed in so many different areas. But at the end of the day, just the height of the guys. We saw Mr. Thomas, we saw Andre Russell, did some things that I believe could set the pattern for West Indies going all the way.
Going all the way.
All the way. Because those are the things used to frighten guys in the past. Used to scare guys. Short-lived deliveries, and Pakistan just recently didn't quite handle it that well.
What is it? What has changed suddenly? What has suddenly changed that Viv Richards got the swagger back? I haven't seen you speak like this about a West Indian side in years.
Now, if you notice, the guys, they're looking much fitter. And that's all to do with the fact that they have found a formula for them to believe that they can go all the way. And I believe it. I believe it. Let's forget about Australia, who's doing all whatever they may be doing. But I believe the match, West Indies versus Australia, is going to tell which team, I believe, has got the substance.
Wow, that's coming. That's big coming from you, Savib. Okay, you've again set the ball rolling. I've come last to the Indians and the Pakistanis. Wasim, Akram, Misbah-ul-Haq. We've got two Pakistanis because we believe that, you need to give our neighbor a chance, at least in a show like this. Most people, for the first time, Wasim, Akram, are not giving Pakistan a chance. And this is a team which 2 years ago on this very ground won the Champions Trophy. What's changed suddenly in 2 years?
I suppose, yes, it is quite depressing that nobody's taking name of Pakistan to be the favorites. But Pakistan were never the favorites, even during Champions Trophy. I mean, they started off awfully against India, I suppose, and then eventually won the ICC. But I think this time they really have to pull a rabbit out of a bag to even qualify for the top four. Like I said a little while ago in our Hindi show, that we've done so many experiences before the World Cup. Instead of having the one squad, playing that squad against Australia, 5 one-days, then 4 against England, and then going into World Cup. So if you want to try different players or combination, it has to be 3-4 months before. I was having a word with Michael Clarke other day. We were just discussing general, and he said, in Australia, we plan a World Cup year and a half before, that which squad probables will be there in the 25, and in the end pick 15 out of them. And Pakistan announced their 15 squad a day before their first game. So that shows that what is happening in the minds of selectors and, of course, the think tank of the Pakistan team.
I have to ask you this, Misbah-ul-Haq. It's said that what Pakistan team will actually come out to play, no one ever knows. It depends on which side of the bed you get up. Is that really true, that one day you can beat the best in the world and next day be bowled out by the West Indians for just over 100? What is it about Pakistan that makes it so unstable?
I think the first thing that is important for that, you actually should know what is our best 11. And at the moment, the worrying sign for Pakistan team is that we even don't know which is our best 11. And these things need to be sorted out at least a year and a half before the World Cup. We kept on investing in certain players for certain positions, and then, I don't know for what reason, just before the World Cup, in a couple of series, we tried so many things, got confused, and now we are yet to find that who our best bowling bowlers are, who our best batters are, and what numbers they should bat. So that's the biggest problem, and that's why I think nobody's just giving Pakistan a chance. Still, you don't know. One good game, like we are playing against England tomorrow, and if we can get through this game and win that game, that could really do wonders for Pakistan. But at the moment, we are struggling.
So who's your favorite, Wasim Akram?
For the World Cup, I'll get to it. And I think the certain players he's talking about, it's Shoaib Malik and Mohammad Hafiz. They are senior players. You have those players in the squad in 15. If you pick them up, you got to play them. So they don't know who to play now, either Shoaib, Malik, or either Hafiz. So they are in two minds. When your selectors or your think tank is two mind, the whole team gets into two.
So who's your favorite?
Asif Ali is also there.
Yeah, and Asif Ali.
Another debate.
I wanted Asif Ali to play the first game because he's a middle order batsman, comes at number 5 or 6, and he's a power hitter as well. And he's a good player against short pitch deliveries. And he did well against England. He got 250s batting at number 5, number 6, and then they dropped him.
Who's your favorite?
My favorite is definitely England or India. One of them will.
England or India. Good to have a Pakistani endorse an India-England final. You know, that is the dream final, Sunil Gavaskar. For many of us in India this time, India versus England, Lagan Part 2. You know, you remember Amir Khan's film? It's time, Lagan vasool karne ka time fir se aaya hai.
Well, I mean...
Do you believe India and England are the two favorites? We've got a more settled side than the Pakistanis this time, for example, and more consistent than the West Indians?
Well, England, in my view, are the favorites. Clear favorites.
England are the favorites.
Clear favorites for the simple reason they've been playing outstanding cricket, outstanding one-day cricket for the last couple of years. Maybe the turnaround started for them immediately after the 2015 World Cup. And I think, and maybe I'm completely wrong, I think they were helped to a great extent by the fact that when their season started in 2015, they were playing New Zealand. And they just saw how New Zealand approached one-day cricket. New Zealand were the runners-up of the World Cup a couple of months earlier. And they just saw how New Zealand played fearless cricket. And that's exactly what they did in that same series. And England chased down 300, 350 in the 2015 series. And I'm not too sure what the result was. Probably it was 2-2. But that is where they started to realize that that's the way they need to play cricket, one-day cricket, to get to the top. And they're today quite deservedly ranked number 1 in one-day cricket because they have been truly the most outstanding team in the last couple of years. India is not too far behind, but England, in my view, are the clear favorites. And if we go by what has happened in 2011 and 2015, where the home team has won the trophy, then this is England's year.
You know, Nasser Hussain, they're all putting pressure on you. And the one thing that English sides in the past have not been able to handle is pressure. It's an 8-letter word that seems to get to the English in previous times. Do you believe this team is different? That there is something special, horses for courses, you've got one-day cricketers who are specialists at their game, and that's the big change.
Well, I actually disagree with your question. England have never been under pressure in a World Cup. As I say, we've never been favourites. We've never got out the group stages, really. We've never, apart from 92, knockout cricket. No one's had any expectations of our white ball side when we've gone and played. This time, there is pressure. Absolutely. Home nation, expectation. At the end of the game the other day, they were chanting, cricket's coming home. Everyone in this country has waited for years and years for this moment. The one thing that nearly everyone on this stage, apart from me, has is that they have handled pressure situations. That's what makes you a great sportsman, a great cricketer. That when it comes to that semi-final, and everyone is expecting you to beat India, beat West Indies, beat whoever is there, you don't bottle it. And you don't know, but one thing I do know is that our captain is not a bottler. He is a very calm, composed young man that soaks up pressure very, very well. So you don't know until the day. I think it was Alan Knott that once said to me, actually, about how you handle pressure. You have to try and convince yourself it's not that important when actually you know it is seriously important. So those mind games are going to be very important. There's no point Virat Kohli in a World Cup final turning to his team and saying, do you know how important this is? There's billions of Indians that really want you to win. He'll be saying, just go out and express yourself. And I think that's what Owen Morgan will be doing as well, as will every captain.
there's one cricketer who knew how to handle pressure. So Viv Richards, you were smiling when I asked that question to Nasser Hussain because you know a team or two of England who in the past, including in that 79 World Cup final, simply couldn't handle what you did on the big stage. Is it about the big stage? At the end of the day, a World Cup final is handling the big stage. Do you believe that, do you see a player or a team that has the capacity to do it? Is it about individuals or is it about a team handling the big stage?
We all would have been pointing in the direction of England as being the favorites. But let me tell you this. They have a solid team on paper. The game is not played on paper. It's played out in the middle and what you accomplish on the day. And to be fair, I'm yet still to be convinced that at some point, when the pressure really gets to you, sometimes we see the greatest of players sometimes crumble. So until it happens out there, everyone is just as equal in my opinion.
How did you handle the pressure in that 79 World Cup
Listen.
final? What was it about, was it the way you went to the crease, the swagger, the gum, the punching of the bat? There was something about you where the bowler seemed more intimidated with you on the crease than you seemed intimidated by any bowler.
I'll tell you this, and it's quite simple. Whenever you go to the middle itself, there's some guys who have the stomach for it, some guys who are just happy to be in a final, and that's their victory. I want to go one step further. I want to prove that I am the man. Because when you come to this place, which is, in my opinion, the Wembley of cricket, it is so important that you will remember. Everyone remembers what you do. Regardless of how you got there, everyone remember what happens on the final day. And those are the big guys who turn up. If you turn up that day and you believe more than the others, you're going to have your success.
You sure turned up on more than one occasion. Someone else who turned up was Wasim Akram, 1992. What did Imran Khan tell you that day? Is it about, there are not a billion Pakistanis, but a lot of Pakistanis back home who are backing you? Or did he say, forget about it, just enjoy?
Yeah, I didn't mention anything about that, the whole Pakistan is watching. We knew that. He was stating the obvious. But I think he has been in that 92 tour, on that 92 tour, in the beginning we started off, we lost by 10 wickets to West Indies. And then we got out 70 all out. But he'd been saying all along, we will win this World Cup. I have a feeling we will win this World Cup. He was injured himself. He was having this painkiller injection in his shoulder. So that belief, he put it into our mind, and we eventually qualified. We won against New Zealand in New Zealand, who won 7 games out of 7 on a trot. And we played the 8th game. We won that game comfortably by 8 wickets. And then the semi-final, wherein Zamam played a brilliant knock. Javed was batting with him. Javed Miandad got 50, but he was the one who actually was handling in Zamam. And then the final, I think before the game, I felt light. I didn't feel any pressure. I felt light. I felt like I could fly. So really, I felt very, very light. And that probably did the trick there, probably, because there was no pressure. I wasn't thinking what people are watching or not watching. I was focusing on that game on that day.
You're quite modest, man. I watched that, and to me, you are very special.
Thank you, sir.
You came around the wicket, and it's not often that you see a left armer come around the wicket and get that ball to straighten up on the occasions. You bowled some serious deliveries that day.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Come on, you're belittling yourself, man. You're madness.
Huge compliment. Huge compliment. As Mr. Gavaskar pointed out, the last 2 World Cups have been won by the home side.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it appears that teams are now realizing how to handle home pressure, Michael Clarke. You won it with the Australians 2015. India won it with Dhoni in 2011. Is home turf an advantage, playing at home an advantage, or is it a burden on a team?
I think it's certainly an advantage because you know conditions so well. You know the pitches, you know the hotel you're staying at, you're going to get home fans supporting you. I really think it comes down to how you look at it. As Nasser mentioned, I think there is expectation on England. And that's because they've been so successful and they have the luxury of playing in their own backyard. What it comes down to is how the players interpret that. Is that any more expectation or any more pressure than what they put on themselves on a daily basis? I think for us in 2015 it wasn't. I think we didn't expect to win that World Cup. But our standard was if we play to our best, we know we are good enough to win the World Cup. So our goal was to focus on every single game and play as well as we possibly could. I probably feel in 2015 we lost to New Zealand over in New Zealand, and that probably gave us a kick up the bum that we needed. Made us realise that our standard of playing probably at 8 out of 10 wasn't going to be good enough to go on and win, so we had to improve.
Sunil Gavaskar, let's be honest. 1983, did we have any pressure? Did you even think of a word called pressure? You're playing arguably the greatest team that there ever has been. We don't want to remind Sir Viv about what happened that day. He still gets nightmares. But at the end of the day, is that an advantage to be an underdog? When you're an underdog and nobody expects you to win. Bangladesh defeats the mighty South Africans. First big upset of the World Cup. If you're an underdog like Bangladesh, maybe you can certainly upset the odds. This could well be Bangladesh's year. Who knows? They're exactly in the same position today that you were in 1983.
Yes, I think the fact that there's no pressure of expectations plays a big role, because that whatever happens, people are saying, oh well, they're not really going to win. So that was probably the situation when we played the West Indies in 1983 when we went there. We just wanted to savor the moment. We just wanted to enjoy the fact that we were in the finals, because that was a big thing. The 75, 79 World Cups, we had not even qualified for the knockout stages. So just to be there was something special. But having said that, we also had the belief that we had beaten the West Indies in the first match of the tournament, of that year's tournament. And that had given us belief that, look, we can do it. We've done it once, why not we can do it again? But by no stretch of imagination can all of us put our hands on our heart and say, no, we knew we were going to win. But we knew that we had done enough and we deserved to be in the finals. That's what we knew, and we were going to go out there and give it our best.
The great man is smiling. He's listening to you and smiling and remembering that day.
To be fair, Sonny just mentioned something about if you can beat the team who I think were the best team at that time twice, they deserve to have won. Definitely. You beat the best team at the time twice. In the preliminary rounds, I guess, and also in the finals. So which means, man, what else are you asking for?
How long did it take you to recover, Sir Viv, from that game?
Huh?
How long did it take you to recover from that loss?
Actually, we were still involved in county cricket. And Sonny, who would have had a stink at Somerset in himself, and Joel Garner and myself was to go back to Somerset that morning. And I became enthralled with the tableau, because we are staying just across the road, and we went to bed with the tableau. We got up in the morning with the tableau. So it goes to show you that the Indians were celebrating all the way. But at the end of the day, man...
they knew your room. I was told they knew your room, and they were playing Bhangra music even louder outside your room.
Listen, man, I never had a wink of sleep. But when you win, man, anything happens, I had some champagne in the room and it was sour.
Misbah-ul-Haq, is it for India and Pakistan, particularly for Pakistan in this World Cup, you've got to win on 16th of June. Whether we win the World Cup or not, you've got to defeat India, something that no Pakistani team has done yet in a World Cup. Do you think at some level an India-Pakistan match is even bigger pressure than a World Cup final?
You can say that because obviously everybody wants in India and Pakistan, everybody wants their team to win. And in the current situation, I think Pakistan team will want this more than any other team, because generally we are not doing well. So they'll be expecting that if we can win this game, then that can really help to boost the confidence of the team. And obviously, that's also in the minds of everyone, that we should just win for the first time in the World Cups, because we haven't done it before.
Why is that, Wasim Akram? With all the greats that you've had over the years, over 40 years, you've never defeated India in a World Cup. What happens? Is there something that happens to you when you see the Indians?
I have answered
Black
this
magic.
question about 7,000
Black magic.
times today.
No, what? Kya hai?
Black magic.
Kya hai? What is it?
We won against India quite a bit, by the way, apart from the
World Cup.
ICC World Cup.
World Cup में क्या होता है?
I don't know. We only play every 4 years. I mean, in Sydney, 92, they scored 220. We couldn't chase 220. Probably pressure. And then 99 World Cup at Old Trafford, they were 223 all out. We couldn't chase, although we went on to qualify for the finals. But, you know, when you play against India or any other team, you don't think that way as a player. Oh, it's a World Cup, ICC, we have to win. We haven't won. You just come out and play a game like any other game.
Seem bhai, जादू तो नहीं है कोई? Black magic.
Black magic, maybe.
Black magic. Sunil Gavaskar, black magic against Pakistan. What is this? What is it? What, do you think the Pakistanis buckle under pressure when they play India? Do they bottle up?
No, I don't think so. As Wasim said, Pakistan's beaten India a number of times.
World
but
Cup.
maybe, yes, but maybe in the World Cup, the expectations are far greater on them. And maybe that's the reason why they probably don't play their natural game. Just, like we saw, even chasing 220 on both those occasions, they had enough batsmen to be able to do it. But they just got stuck. They weren't able to get the ball off the square. It was just one of those things where you could say that they bottled up.
You know, one word
even-
that's been often used is sorry.
Even in 2007 T20 World Cup, first game, we need 39 runs on 14 balls. And I remember I was at the crease. We scored 38 on 12 balls. Could not score 1 run on 2 balls. And match was tied and then we lost.
And you got out.
So at that time, I seriously thought that there is something wrong. There is some other...
So you think there is black magic?
Other forces at work.
I don't want to get caught up in the politics. I don't want to get caught up in the politics here now between these two countries. But let me say this, for a reminder for Pakistan in terms of what can be achieved, the Champions Trophy just recently. India took them down pretty early. Who won the final?
That's right.
So that to me is also a motivator if you're in the Pakistan camp.
Okay. I remember that. That's the Champions Trophy. But the word that will often be used, Nasser Hussain, in this World Cup is X factor. That a team has to win a World Cup when it has an X factor. That could be a player. It could be the way you play the game. Is there an X factor that you see as we head into this 2019 World Cup that could make all the difference? Is there a player? Is there a team? Is there a way of playing this game now that is the X factor?
I think every tournament and every generation something comes up. So the 2020 World Cup that England won, it was a slower ball bouncer theory that came up. And sides took so long to work it out. By the end, England won that because they were ahead of the curve. So which side's ahead of the curve? Like at the moment in this World Cup, the bouncer seems to be a good option to go to. If you've got pace, that's why Viv mentions the West Indies. That's why England have gone with their very own West Indian in Jofra Archer. So, we've got a bit of pace now. But I actually think that will get you through a certain level, a certain qualifying, knockouts. But actually what will in the end get you to win a World Cup. Not many sides win a World Cup without great individual players. You talk about Viv Richards. When he turns up to a World Cup final, you can bet your last dollar that Viv Richards will turn up. When you turn up in Mumbai in 2011 and MS Dhoni knocks on the coach's door and says, "Coach, I want to go out there," that is a sign of greatness. That's a sign that bloke doesn't want to bottle it. Michael Clarke in the last World Cup, at home, all that expectation, etc., I'm going to deliver. So in the end, you can have all these X factor, you can have all the theories, but actually what you need is greatness to get you over the line. So whichever side has those great cricketers that don't bottle it under pressure and want to be there, they will be the side that wins this tournament.
You know, Michael Clarke, do you see that great player? 79, you knew Sir Viv was the greatest player at the time. 92, you could argue you knew by then Wasim Akram was something special. Do you see that special cricketer in this World Cup who could actually turn up on that big day and turn around this tournament? Is there someone you see who's got that X factor in him? In any of the...
Me? Do I see?
Yeah, do you see anyone?
I think the world sees him. His name's Virat Kohli. I think
Really?
yeah, of course. I think there's, I think Virat has been the standout one-day batsman for a long period of time. And statistics don't lie over a long period of time. I think he's an absolute superstar. I think he loves the big occasion. If you think about all the individual wonderful players that'll be a part of this World Cup, Virat will be sitting in his room right now praying to God that he can walk out and bat in the World Cup. He will not have 1 ounce of fear or doubt. Virat is at a level where he probably feels if India's chasing 250 in the final, then he'll want to make 200 of those runs. He's got that. See, I remember having a conversation with Brian Lara as a very, very young boy when I first come into the Australian team. And one of the things he always said to me was, when everybody else is making 100, you want to make 200. If other players are making 200, you want to make 300. And I sense that Virat Kohli, that's instilled in Virat.
You know, I wonder, Sir Viv, whether, you know, for my generation, this is a tough question to answer, or to ask. Is Virat Kohli in the Sir Viv Richards league of batsmen, the kind who can intimidate bowlers? Is he the kind of batsman who will intimidate a team, and if he gets going in a World Cup, could go on a roll like you went in '79?
I would say he has an advantage. He does have a helmet.
True. You see any...
But to be fair, apart from Virat, let's look. Nasser, I think, is pumping the English side up. And I believe that England do have some players who can hurt you. Jos Buttler, I'm a fan of Jos Buttler, and I think he's very special. And I think this World Cup, we could see people like Owen Morgan. He just looks so cool, in my opinion, as free as anything else. And when you have guys, you know, who are pretty clear in their minds what they can accomplish, that's pretty dangerous.
Wasim, Akram, you see any player with that X factor in this
obviously, you know, the names that took Virat Kohli is up there, Jos Buttler from England, and I reckon this one guy from Australia who came back after 1 year, David Warner. Because he seems to me he's very hungry and he has a point to prove, and he has been match winner in all the 3 formats for Australia from last 5 to 6 years consecutively. I think he's a player to watch as well in this World Cup.
You know, it's interesting. Most of you are throwing batsmen as your X factor. Let me throw a bowler at you. I get a sense that while all this attention is on Virat Kohli, Jasprit Bumrah is quite simply the best bowler in the world. Do you agree with that, Sunil Gavaskar, that he is the kind of bowler who could actually win you a World Cup? Bowlers reportedly don't win you World Cups, but as Wasim Akram proves, sometimes they can.
I think most times they do. Most times they do. If India won in 1983, it was the bowlers that did it for them, not the batsmen. Batsmen scored what, 183? Yeah. What is 183? Nothing. It's the bowlers who defended that score. So the bowlers do win the matches for you. And yes, Bumrah is today the best bowler in one-day cricket with the white ball. He's fantastic at the start of the innings. In the middle of the innings, he can come and choke the runs up, get some wickets, and towards the end, he comes and bowls those deadly Yorkers. So yes, he certainly is going to be the man who can win it for India. So even if India get out for not too many, they'll depend on Bumrah to try and win them matches. And I think under these conditions, the kind of pitches that we've seen so far, where there's a bit of life, somebody like Bumrah will certainly cause more than a problem for all the batsmen.
You wanted to make a point?
Yeah, you know why Bumrah is so consistent? You know, when I hear commentary and, you know, critics in cricket, when they talk about how come he's not bowling Yorker? How come he's not bowling Yorker outside off stump? Because it's a difficult delivery to bowl. And Bumrah have mastered it. As a bowler, you got to have that confidence and believe in yourself when you're running in to bowl that particular delivery. And it's practice. You have to practice it, obviously in nets and then during the game, every time, and you get it right. And he gets it right, 99% right. So he's got control on that, you know, delivery. They'll give you wickets and a couple of dot balls under pressure.
You know, you get a sense, Nasser Hussain, and you know this country better than anyone else, given the state of the wickets and the way the game is now played, even 350 is chaseable. In that sense, do you believe that it's ultimately about the batsman? I know that people are citing bowlers, but this World Cup, given the rules of the game, the white balls, 2 white balls, smaller boundaries at times, is
Less seam,
no helmets. Is it now purely a batsman's game more than ever before, particularly with T20 cricket making even 350 a possible total to chase?
Yeah, I think it has gone a little bit too far towards batsmen. It should be an even contest between bat and ball. I think Test match cricket should slightly favour the bowlers. That's when it's the most watchable. And I think one-day cricket should slightly favour the batsman because that's when it's most watchable. But I do believe in the last couple of years, it's gone, nearly every law change has been about batting. You know, 2 balls so that it doesn't swing at the start, it doesn't swing at the end, fielding restrictions, smaller grounds because of health and safety and everything that goes on, so bigger bats. But yeah, you have to give credit to the batsmen as well. They are highly skilled. If you go around a swimming pool with some of these sides now, India, England, you're quickly putting your top on because they are all built like Sir Vivian Richards was in the day. They are all strong. They can hit a ball like golfers now hit the ball further. Cricketers just hit that ball further. So you have to give the batsman credit. But going back to your thing, I still agree with Sunil Gavaskar and the guys up here. Actually, because of that, it will be your bowling attack, your best bowling attack, that will win you it. And you have to look at a varied bowling attack as well. I saw New Zealand the other day with Bolt, then you had a bit of Henry, then you had a bit of Ferguson, spinner, a little dibbly-dobbly. Sides who have a varied, because already in this tournament we've had a quick pitch at Trent Bridge, a green pitch at Cardiff, a flat pitch at the Oval today, a bouncy one at the Oval the other day. So you're going to need a varied attack. It's not just about the batsman. Your best bowling attack might well win this.
And what we are finding, Michael Clarke, which is interesting, is every team now has at least one spinner, an attacking option in a spinner, and many of them have leg spinners. I mean, whoever thought that a World Cup team every team would actually have a prize leg spinner, from a Rashid Khan to a Zampa to a Tahir. It seems to be the new way of playing the game. Get the leg spinner in the middle overs. Hopefully he gets a couple of wickets, changes the way the game is played.
Well, I think captains are looking at using spin differently now. I think they're using them as an attacking weapon instead of a defensive weapon. They're using the spin to try and take wickets versus trying to save runs. And I think that's been great for spin bowling and great for one-day cricket. So, yeah, look, I have no doubt that spin will play a part through this World Cup. And the other side of that, how batsmen play against spin is going to be very important as well. We've seen when the wickets suited the fast bowlers, the game recently, Australia versus Afghanistan, the Afghanistan batters took on Adam Zampa because the ball wasn't spinning. So I think the spin bowlers are going to need to be prepared for that as well, that sometimes they're going to get hit, but I still think they're going to play a huge role.
But you know, sir, when we see the batsmen, not just from the West Indies, across the world with these heavy bats, hitting the ball way into the crowd, even miss hits going into the crowd. Do you sometimes miss playing the game now with a slightly heavier bat? I mean, I've often wondered who would hit the ball harder, Andre Russell or Sir Viv Richards? And my answer is Sir Viv.
Sir Viv.
To be fair, I would have loved them to use the bats I did. I don't think they would hit it as far as did then. But the bats today are solid, in my opinion. And to be fair, it doesn't do justice. We hear about the bowlers being like cannon fodders. That shouldn't be. I think they should be given an equal opportunity as the batters themselves for them to fulfill their skills. Because when you see a guy mishook a ball and he goes there for 6 over fine leg on a 65-yard boundary, that to me is saying that it's a batsman's game.
Did you ever play a switch hit or a reverse sweep in your life, Sir Viv?
You didn't need to.
No, I didn't worry about that. I always like to keep the ball in front of me, man. I didn't even like to sweep the ball because I've always felt that without a mouth guard, because I was to have my chewing gum. A little top edge, so keeping it in front of me, man, was always the best way.
You know, Wasim, Akram, something, you know, when you're a legend and, you know, you can play, you can adjust. Sir Viv would have adjusted to the game, no doubt about it today. What's the biggest difference you're seeing in the way they're playing the World Cup now to even when you last played the World Cup, which is not too long ago, just about 15 years ago? So what's the biggest change that you're seeing at the moment in the way that cricketers are approaching this game?
Obviously, it's getting bigger and bigger every time the World Cup happens. And this year we haven't seen anything yet in England, but hopefully England is start winning. We'll see the World Cup actually is happening here. If it would have been India, Pakistan or anywhere else, every city would have been closed just to this World Cup happening. But I think the preparation is a lot more now. The staff is a lot more now. And obviously the skill level is gone higher and higher and higher, batting and bowling. And of course fielding. Fielding has improved immensely in last 10 years.
Have you ever seen a better Indian fielding side than this Sunil Gavaskar? I mean, look at your great 83 World Cup side. It had some very good fielders. But compared to what we have at the moment, we seem to have athletes now. An Indian team with athletes in almost every department.
Well, the 1985 team that won the World Championship of Cricket had probably the best Indian fielding team, even better than this one.
Better than this one, the 85 team that won the Championship of Cricket in Australia.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I am saying. Look at me as much as you want. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, let me rephrase that, sir. Do you think you were fitter than were you fitter than the present team? Fitter?
We were all fitter because we lasted the whole game. We lasted the whole game.
You mean you didn't go back, into the pavilion every time there was a drinks break?
No, we didn't have as many drinks on the field, even in a T20 game. Every time there's a DRS, there is a 12th man coming with drinks for the players today. They're having drinks every 5-7 minutes. That delays the game, that delays the rhythm of the game.
And then there's a drink breaks.
And then there are the drinks breaks. We never had that. We never had, let me tell you also one more thing. We never had a fielder, a 12th man or a reserve waiting on the fine leg boundary for a fast bowler to have a drink after he bowled his 6 deliveries. That only came after 1 hour. The umpires never allowed it. So, because it's a physical game, it's a stamina game of stamina. So if batsmen are running 2s, 3s, 2s, 3s, and they do not get to have a drink at the end of every over, why should a fast bowler, after he bowls 6 deliveries, go to deep fine leg and have an energy drink for him? We didn't have that during our time. And the biggest difference is we played with the red ball, which swung a lot more than this white ball does. Yes, Viv?
I'll certainly in your corner with that.
and you could bowl, and you could bowl more than 1 bouncer. We sometimes forget that the West Indians could get away with 3-4 bouncers and over, and you never had a drink at the boundary line, did you?
No, the bouncers goes over your head. Short delivery is just about the chest.
and the West Indian fast bowlers went for this part of the body, right?
Well, no, we always went to, if I can remember Malcolm Marshall quite clearly, he didn't want to go over your head. He was looking for the throat.
That's actually, as a bowler, that's where you should be aiming. Not above your head, actual throat.
That's an interesting point, Nasser Hussain. Our today's batsmen, and we've seen that already early in this World Cup, used to pace like fire. Suddenly, when a bowler comes and starts bowling at 145, 150, today's batsmen are struggling a bit. Is that going to be the formula, in a sense, as you said, for this World Cup? Pace like fire can also work.
Yeah, I mean, so far, I'm lucky enough to work with Michael Holding, obviously, at Sky. And Mikey has always said, as Viv will know, that pace just does funny things to batters. I mean, that's why the great Sunil Gavaskar is one of the greatest batsmen of all time, to bat without a helmet, and his record against that great West Indies bowling attack, that's the end of that conversation, basically. So, pace does do funny things, although it was easy to get it over Sunny's head back then. But, the issue is, let's not take too short a sample size here. That's been it at the moment. There will be certain sides that won't be bullied by the short stuff. Like India, for example. India 15 years ago, you could go a lot of short stuff, and a few of them would be a bit windy with it. This Indian side, Rohit plays it pretty well, Virat plays it pretty well, Shikhar plays it very well. There's a few that play it pretty well, so you better have a plan B, is what I'm saying. Pakistan, yes, the other day, they got it wrong, but don't just, like England tomorrow might play Wood and Archer. Just be careful that pace isn't everything. Pace and accuracy and a bit of movement is important as well.
Okay, I've just got a couple of minutes on the show. Let's talk about the 4 semi-finalists. Misbah, you start. Who are your 4 semi-finalists in this World Cup? Who are the 4 teams that you think will make it to the semi-finals?
I think everybody just agreed upon 3. We are just fighting for the 4th place. And
so who are the 3? England, India, and Australia?
Australia, definitely. And
who's the 4th?
4th, obviously, we go for Pakistan, but we have to fight it out.
Good. You got to go for Pakistan. You've got to go back home to Lahore for starters. Michael Clarke, choose your 4.
Yeah, Australia, England, India, and West Indies. Am I 4?
Good. You've made Saviv happy. Saviv, your 4.
I'm going to let my conscience rule my professional ability here now. I'd love to see us get there. The Windies, for sure, as a West Indian. Australia, I've always fancied. England, I think this is the greatest opportunity for them to be there. Which is the next team now?
Come on, Viv, you've got a strong Indian connection. You're not going to say India?
India. I tell you something.
You are not in this.
India, I've got to put India. I've got to put India somewhere there. But my gut feeling tells me at times, man, that it's not always what you see on paper works.
Okay. We're going to be careful about that, Viv. Wasim, Akram, you're 4.
Obviously, 3 teams could be England, India, Australia. And I reckon, I agree with Sir Viv that West Indies are looking very dangerous. And they're on the right track. What I can see from outside, they're enjoying their cricket. They're not there for the sake of being there. They actually they're owning the place. And that's a big difference I've seen.
Sunil Gavaskar?
Yes, India, England, Australia, and because what we saw at Trent Bridge the other day, the bouncer is back, the West Indies.
Okay, good. Good to hear that. Nasser Hussain, you're 4.
I don't know how Australia suddenly have got in an automatic top 3. Last time I saw them play one-day cricket in England, they were hopeless. So I'm going to go England and India, the top 2 ranked sides. I'm going to go a side that no one ever mentions, and that's New Zealand. And then it really hurts me to say that the 4th one will be Australia, not the 3rd one. So.
Okay, I'm going to now do something interesting at the very end. All of you have played numerous World Cups, watched them. I'm going to ask you, you can pause for 10 seconds to think about it. If there was one cricketer who's played this World Cup since 1975, who you'd want to play in a final for your life, you need your country to win, you can pick anyone from any country. You start, Mr. Gavaskar. Who would you choose to play for the World Cup for your life?
Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards.
Without a doubt.
Not the slightest doubt. Not the slightest doubt. Because he got out for 30, we won the World Cup. If he hadn't got out for 30, and he was in a rush to go maybe back to Taunton, so otherwise we would not have won that.
Wasim Akram, pick a cricketer. You can pick yourself.
That'll be weird. But if I have to pick any cricketer, it has to be this guy sitting next to me, Sir Viv Richards. I've seen him in his prime. I saw him, I played against him. He was the whole package, not just the batsman. He could bowl, he could 10 overs, tremendous fielder, and a great leader.
Sir Richards, you want to pick someone?
I'm going to put myself out of the picture here now and say to you that for some reason, I think England has got an individual who's going to get it done. And Butler, with some of the things that he would have achieved, and just the bravery and the array of shots and the skill sets, I'll certainly put him up there as being an individual who I could put my money on.
But the greatest ever, is there someone who stands out for you out of all the World Cup cricketers you've seen?
Kapil Dev for winning it.
Kapil Dev, well, good. Good to hear his name. Michael Clarke?
I think obviously Viv's a given as the batsman. I'm going to go for a bowler. I'm going to go for Shane Warne. I'd like Shane Warne.
Misbah-ul-Haq, is there any cricketer who's stood out for you in all these years who you say, wow, this is a player?
I think 2 guys are sitting here. One is a batsman, great batsman, and the other a legend, an all-rounder. I always just see Wasim bhai as one package, like in 92, who can win any game. So I'll go for him.
Okay. Nasser Hussain, you get the final pick.
Well, I'm going to be boring again. No surprise there. And I'm going to go for Viv, not for the reasons that everyone's given. I think it's just an absolute given that Viv Richards is the greatest player that's ever played the game. But actually, as cricketers also, you are ambassadors for your game. And I couldn't think of a better ambassador for our game with his aura, his personality. Viv Richards is great, but he doesn't tell you he's great. And that's what makes him a great ambassador for our game. So I'm going to go Viv Richards.
Wonderfully put. Wow. And I think that sums up what Salaam Cricket has been like. You know, we've had the legends with us, people who won World Cups for their teams, people who shaped World Cup finals, and it's been an enthralling day looking ahead to this World Cup. I want to thank all of you, and I want to wish Nasser Hussain all the very best, because what we want in India, in some ways, not just, it's either got to be an India-Pakistan semi-final, where we defeat the Pakistanis, and then an India-England Lagan Part 2. I don't know if you've seen the film Nasser Lagan, but it's a film where a young Indian team of villagers mostly defeat the Royal English side. So I hope you're ready for that. Lagan Part 2.
You better get there first, to be honest.
Okay, great. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a wonderful day of listening to the greats of the game. It can't get better than this. Thank you all very much for being here as part of Salaam Cricket. Give them a very big hand, ladies and gentlemen.